Welcome to the Big 12 on ESPN. Hilton Magic was created in games like this. A top 25 opponent in town in Seton Hall, and a chance for a statement win for the home team, the Iowa State Cyclones. With that, hello and welcome to Ames. I'm Lo Galindo here with the former Providence head coach Tim Welsh. And coach, we don't see this very often. For the second time in a span of 10 days, we'll have two teams going head-to-head with Seton Hall taking down the Cyclones in the Bahamas. The coaches aren't huge fans of it, but the fans should be, because once again, two of the best players in America.
It's interesting. I think both coaches are approaching it in the way like it's a league game. Like, we know the opponent a little bit better than we did a week ago because we just played them. So you'll see some adjustments on both ends of the floor, but with two superstars out there, the key is, again, how will Seton Hall defend Tyrese Halliburton, and Iowa State, can they just slow down Myles Powell?
Powell, one of the top scorers in America. He was brilliant in the win against Iowa State with 24 points. Hasn't played since then, but huge performances.
Myles Powell in New York, New Jersey area. They called him the new era of Willis Reed when he made that comeback against Michigan State after the ankle sprain. And Tyrese Halliburton is so special. He finds a way to make everybody on the floor better with an increased ability to score this year, especially from the perimeter.
19 points, 7 assists in a loss against Seton Hall. 10,000 plus. Say it wasn't a sellout leading up to this game. You can fool me otherwise, because Hilton is rocking. In the middle, Ike Obiagu will get the start for Seton Hall at center, only the third start of the season. The tip was Solomon Young, and it ends up in the hands of the Pirates, coming out in blue.
The issue for Iowa State was not guarding in the half court, it was taking good shots and defending around in the paint and rebounding the basketball.
Obiagu tried to throw that one down immediately. And back the other way, Rasir Bolton. That's what the Pirates do not want the Cyclones to do.
Well, Kevin Willard talked about it, but that's what Bolton will do. He gets a load of speed out there, and he just puts his head down, goes with the right hand all the way to the rim.
Bolton, second leading scorer behind Halliburton, and he could really fill it up, averaging 20 points per game over the past 3, as we see Miles Kell fouled on the drive to the basket. Solomon Young picks up the foul for Iowa State, his first of the night. For Seton Hall, coach, they are experienced and they are extremely long. Second tallest team in all of college basketball.
Well, it's interesting. Already out of the gate, both coaches are right up the referee's ear on both ends. Kevin Willard wanted a charge on Burton's drive to the basket, and Steve Prohm did not like that call on Cale's drive. So you can feel the intensity in this building.
Well, we heard from Steve Prohm leading up to this game that this is one of the times of dubs that they need. Give them a little confidence with a new look team, lead them to buy in that much more. There's the defense for Powell, and coming out the other way, and losing the handle is Sandro Mamukelashvili.
Mamukelashvili normally would have dished that ball. He's a very capable and willing passer. He saw Cale. I don't think he ever saw Cale. He was going strong to the rim and with one thing in mind, to go to score.
Quincy McKnight will inbound. Deep three for Powell. That rims out. That is part of his game, though. He will heave from deep. Bolton, the response too strong. And Obiagu with the rebound.
Bolton forcing the issue a little bit too much in the Bahamas in their last game against Seton Hall as well.
Powell up and over Jacobson and Young for the deuce.
That's the case. When you take a bad, quick shot, usually that will lead to something good for Seton Hall, especially with Powell in transition.
There's Michael Jacobson inside on the 7-footer. Powell, another quick three. And a close miss.
Interesting, though, a little early. Seton Hall not crashing the offensive boards. Really concerned about Iowa State in this building in transition.
Halliburton with the deep three of his own. Cannot get it to go, so the threes are flying here early for both teams.
Early and often, neither team running much offense, not sharing the ball, not making the defense work at all.
Good defense from Prentice Nixon. And an air ball. And Mamukelashvili
Kevin Willard talked about it earlier today, Lowell. He said Iowa State plays a lot faster at home.
Jacobson, no, still waiting for that to fall. Young with the scramble to get it back for the Cyclones.
The paint is not wet. You might think it is, but no one's going in there.
Staying out of it, the shots are not falling. 2 combined field goal makes here in the opening 3 minutes. Cyclones coming off a win Wednesday night against Kansas City. They shot 50% from the field. The Pirates have not played since the Bahamas. Obiagu, not the prettiest shot. The transfer from Florida State gets it to fall. A little surprised you saw him in the starting 5?
Well, Kevin likes to play big, and Romero Gill or Obiagu gives him that big presence, not only offensively, but more importantly, defensively around the rim.
Young, up and over, leaves it short. Jacobson fighting for the offensive rebound. And the Cyclones just cannot break through.
Well, Jacobson, good job on the glass, but has to gather himself, kind of go into the rim, try to maybe draw that foul.
Powell, awkward angle, another miss. He also started slow in the win against the Cyclones, 2 of 10 in the first half. Bolton, looked like he had a wide open lane to the hoop.
Good job, though. Seton Hall on the pursuit just made it a little bit tougher for Bolton on that drive.
Quincy McKnight, the senior, wearing number 0 for the Pirates. Also one of their go-to guys, starting point guard. And a junkyard dog, and that is going against Seton Hall. It will be Iowa State basketball. And the crowd showed up early. They are here. They are ready to support their Cyclones. We'll answer the question everybody wants to know. What is Hilton Magic when we return? ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Phillips 66, proud sponsor of Big 12 basketball, and Audi.
You are looking live inside Hilton Coliseum, where magic frequently rules the night.
I think the biggest thing is the fan base. I wanted to be at a place that they love basketball, and there's no better place to play in the country than Hilton.
When you follow a coach like Fred Hoiberg, you got to win over that home base very quickly, and Steve Prohm has done that. What makes it so tough for an opponent to win in this building?
First of all, the fans are just unbelievably loyal, energized. Every night they are ready to cheer on their team. And when you get down 10, if they ever do get down 10, they don't start booing and howling. They try to lift their team. So that's what's important about a great fan base. And they certainly have it here.
Jacobson, good ball movement. Romero Gill, one of the top shot blockers in the nation, gets that one. And then weaving through traffic and missing is Nixon.
That's why
there was contact on that play.
Kevin Willard wants one of those bigs in at all time.
Gill
Just to
loses
protect.
And we still have a player down. That is Mamu Kelishvili, who took contact from Prentice Nixon. The last sequence that we saw under that Iowa State basket. Mamu Kelishvili, one of the team leaders, a junior. One of the top rebounders in the Big East. Holding his head in pain. There was contact with Nixon on that drive to the basket. Nixon was looking for a foul call against Mamu Kelishvili. He's up and limping to the Seton Hall bench. Wow. Gets clipped and comes down hard.
Comes down hard on his back, and then I think he gets kicked in the head, or just the shock of hitting the floor so hard. 240 or 50 pounds. Tough kid. No doubt about it.
Prohm said the first guy that came to his barn and started watching footage of the Pirates leading up to that first game, the battle for Atlantis, was Kelishvili. Holding his way off.
He was terrific in that win in the Bahamas. He's a tough matchup because Kevin puts him in a lot of good spots out on the floor, uses his ball handling, his ability to shoot deep, and then make plays at the rim off the pick and roll.
Seton Hall, 2 for 7 to start it off. Another miss from Jared Roden this time. Roden, a sophomore from Baldwin, New York. The high upside. And Anthony Nelson showing some D.
Seton Hall showing some D. They are getting after it. Iowa State is not getting anything easy. Now they're shooting a little bit quickly, and they're running their offense about 30 feet from the basket, but you better protect the ball against Kevin Willard's defense.
Miles Powell, top 10 nationally in scoring. Just one bucket to his credit, leaves that one short. And a wide open Halliburton throwing it down.
Bolton at first lost control of the ball. I wasn't sure he saw Halliburton, but then head up. Halliburton was off to the races, and that gets the faithful up.
Blocked by Halliburton. Showing the versatility. And the vision. Jacobson, a look to see if he was in three-point range. And this is that.
Iowa State is going to take advantage and try to get out and run. As we said earlier, they love to run in this building. You've got to rebound first, and Roden's a good-looking young player, but Iowa State is coming to defend tonight as well.
Something that Coach Prohm has not figured out with this team. There's good defense there. Griffin. Griffin on the other end. That's what he has not figured out. Why this team is not consistently hitting the outside shots. Now 0 for 6 from 3. He knows they're a better shooting team than what they've shown in games, as there is a response by Tyrese Samuel on the other end.
So when Seton Hall wants to go small, they will bring in Tyrese Samuel, who is 6'10", but can do that, knock down shots from the perimeter. 5 players, 6'10" or taller on the Seton Hall team.
And that the first 3 ball of the night for the Pirates. Not pass to Condit. And a rejection by the Pirates.
Send not 1, but 2 shot blockers at you at all times.
And a turnover by Seton Hall, giving it right back to the Cyclones.
Seton Hall really does a great job. They'll space the floor. They'll go 5 out at times, but if they drive into the gaps, you better be able to close out quickly, because they have guys that can do that, like Samuel.
And Samuel then picks up the offensive foul, his first of the night.
Came down out of transition, just didn't steady himself to set that ball screen for Powell.
Cyclones 0 for 6 from 3. Here's Condit. Too many moves. And George Condit is called for the travel.
Well, Condit's got to do his work earlier. He's trying to go down to the low post and back in a shot blocker, but he's going to make a quick move, a quick decision. See, he sets up 2 feet off the block there. He's got to get his position on the block or even deeper. He's not going to be able to score against Gill from 4 feet off the block.
Halliburton getting his mid on it. Pirates looking for offense with Powell on the bench. Nelson on the drive. Condit says, get out. Fantastic shot blockers on display. Block number 25 on the season for George Condit.
George Condit is so important for Iowa State. They would like to play small. They've got good perimeter defenders, but he's the guy that will protect the rim for the Cyclones.
Tuesday, we'll have the 25th annual Jimmy V Classic from Madison Square Garden. Top-ranked Louisville takes on Texas Tech at 7 Eastern. Then it's Indiana and UConn. Both games on ESPN and the ESPN app. And a development here The negative fashion for Seton Hall as Sandro Mamukelishvili is now limping to the Seton Hall locker room after he was upended. Looks like he has a wrap on his right wrist, as that is a travel call on the Pirates. But a bigger note is the condition of their second leading scorer.
Well, he does so much for them out on the floor. He's just a really tough matchup, and done tremendously hard on both his spine and his hand wrist area. Clearly an issue for Seton Hall as they try to get going with an offense, but their defense has been special so far.
Condit, Long J, add another miss to the list. And both teams now with more turnovers than field goals. Nelson loses a handle, goes to Condit.
Seton Hall doing a good job, though, getting back and making Iowa State play 5-on-5 in the half court. Iowa State's trying to run on these misses, but Seton Hall really getting back, running, and communicating defensively.
Trey Jackson misses everything. And Condit fouled, getting the rebound. And that is on Shavar Reynolds, his first. So this style of play, it's 8-4 at the 11-13 mark. Who is his favorite?
No one yet, because both teams really are getting after defensively. I think, though, that Iowa State, if they can get Halliburton going in the half court and create some angles for open shots or open driving lanes. But right now it's too much one-on-one. See, Burton, everyone's standing, he's just going one-on-one, and now he turns it over.
And you're not going to win many one-on-ones against Quincy McKnight. That's one of the premier perimeter defenders in the game.
This is a premier defensive team in the nation. One of the top teams that play defense inside, outside and inside. And here, everyone's standing. He's like he's playing one-on-one in the schoolyard and no one else is with him. And that's not good basketball.
Both teams with a single assist. Not going to be too many of those going around when it's 12 combined points. And another one, and this is tough too because McKnight now goes down hard. Miles Powell was called for the foul.
Miles Powell went down hard at the end of the first half of the game in the Bahamas, and he wants out right now after that hard crash to the basket. He banged his chin on the floor at the end of the first half, but he was ready to go at the start of the second half, and no one's tougher than him, but that's another hard crash.
Now McKnight is a tough guy. We saw him also hurt his ankle in the Bahamas. Like you said, hit his chin. Last matchup against the Cyclones, but returned. A freshman off the bench, Caleb Grill. And this is just an ugly shooting performance by both teams. Meanwhile, there is an update for Seton Hall. Mamukelishvili has gone to the locker room and will not return to the game. So the Pirates now needing some answers. Will Cale be the answer? Yes, he is, at least for this moment.
That's what Miles Cale can do. You've got to respect him from the perimeter. He does a lot of nice things out there on the floor at 6'6". All of a sudden you don't pay attention to him because you're thinking about Powell and company, and then he locks and loads.
Condit inside, trying to take on everybody, and this time it works. And Condit with his first bucket of the night.
Well, that time Condit took his time, made a quick decision, though, off the bounce on a face in the middle of the lane. High degree of difficulty.
Powell in the face of Prentice Nixon. His 301st career three-point make.
Prentice Nixon is a tremendous defender, but you cannot relax at all. That time he didn't get out and up on the perimeter.
14-6 edge for the Pirates. Prentice Nixon with Powell on him, and it's right back at you.
Things starting to loosen up a little bit tonight in Ames, and both teams gritty early defensively, a little bit impatient on offense, now starting to feel the flow.
They kick out. Big fella from the corner. Samuel with the miss. Cyclones trying to get the home crowd into it. Will this do it? Grill cannot get the home bounce.
What vision by Halliburton, though, on the little handoff on the left wing. Knew Grill was wide open on the right side.
Yeah, there should be at least 4 or 5 assists for Halliburton in this game. Samuel, no. But it's Gill with the putback after it was initially rejected by Condit.
Both teams making the extra pass, better ball movement, better player movement off the ball.
Romaro Gill, he started majority of the games for the Pirates at center, came off the bench with Obiagu starting. Trey Jackson loses the handle. Nelson is there, along with Kale. Scoops it up. Rush shot. Doesn't get a call. Here comes Halliburton, 100 miles per hour. And it's tipped into the hands of Powell. Great defense in transition by Seton Hall.
I mean, Willard not happy at all. So, a lot of activity, body activity at the rim and not being called.
Condit with the finish against Gill. Hilton wants to come to life.
Kevin Willard smartly just calming his team down. He doesn't want to get caught up in the officials. You easily could because they've missed a couple fouls right at the rim.
And a bump there called on Trey Jackson, I believe. There was some physicality there with Jackson and Samuel and Prome. That call should go the other way. Getting heated here at Ames. Seton Hall's second leading scorer, Sandro Mamukelishvili, went down hard. And unfortunately, then went to the locker room. We saw his right wrist was taped and wrapped. Mamukelishvili will not return to this game, and that's huge for this game in particular, Coach Welsh, and also for the future. We don't know the extent of it, but he is one of the critical pieces to this puzzle.
No, there's no doubt. Just a much improved player from a year ago, a guy that's playing almost 30 minutes a game and was really the key component in the second half of their win over Iowa State in the Bahamas. Just from the outside, knocking down shots, making plays off the bounce, delivering, a very good passer. And Kevin likes to run that high ball screen, and then they set a screen, a back screen for the screener, and he was very good at that, catching the ball right at the rim.
Powell tried to go glass, does not get it. Offensive rebound by Kale. Also, we saw two quick whistles by Grill right before the break. It was Grill called for the foul, and then on the inbound out of the break, called again. Roden inside, good defense by Grill. And it will stay with the Pirates.
Right now, Iowa State doing a good job with switching all ball screens and handoffs on the perimeter. And look for Seton Hall to take advantage of that. That time, Gill was right on the low box against Halliburton. They have to look for him down there when he has a mismatch.
And on the shot clock. McKnight checks back into the game after the hard fall. Gets Jacobson up in the air. No good. The 7-footer Gill with the rebound. And a travel call on Jared Roden.
Well, that time, though, Seton Hall took advantage, not by throwing the ball into Gill, but all of a sudden, Rasheer Bolton on a pick and roll was guarding Gill down low, and on the missed shot, he got the offensive rebound.
Night turnover for Seton Hall. Bolton gets the corner. He's getting good looks, and those are the ones he was finishing in a flurry in the first matchup against Seton Hall.
Rasheer Bolton off the bounce, as good as it gets, going to his right, and Seton Hall's allowing that, but he's just not getting the ball up on a good angle.
McKnight misses the three. And Seton Hall now 3 of 10 from outside.
And everybody in America that scouts Iowa State knows that Bolton and Halliburton are just going to strong right hand right to the rim. But when great players want to get where they want to go to, doesn't matter if you know it, they find a way to do it.
Halliburton and Bolton combining to average 40 points per game over the previous 3, a 2-1 stretch for the Cyclones. Knight on the shot clock, back into Jacobson. Contact and one.
Well, nice job of patience by Iowa State. They were a little stagnant, kind of forcing the issue down in the low box. Jacobson's a very good passer from that area. This time he just goes strong to the rim. Nice finish with the left. This is the position he played a year ago. Iowa State played small ball a year ago, and Jacobson played the 5. This year he's playing the 4. He's had to make that adjustment. His numbers are not as good. He's a little uncomfortable playing that 4 spot, but you see him at the 5. He could be a real problem in a mismatch.
Did not score in the first matchup on Black Friday against Seton Hall. With that 3-point play, Cyclones down 2. Hale, fans looking for a walk. Powell thought about it. Drives past Grill. Jacobson to Burton. Here comes the Cyclones. It's on the verge of dropping for Powell.
Again, a really good job. Seton Hall sprinting back in transition.
Jacobson loses the handle. McKnight looking for a man.
Iowa State doing a good job tonight so far on the glass. That was really an issue for them against Seton Hall in their first matchup.
Samuel, another three-point attempt, too strong. Into the midst of Jacobson. Two of the highest scoring teams in America just cannot find the rhythm. Good for Nixon.
It's just a forced issue right there for Nixon. He was a good three-point shooter at Colorado State, but only 25% on the season this year, and it's not a good look.
Backdoor cut, Cal loses the handle. Nixon keeps it alive. Halliburton showing the moves. We'll give it up to Nixon. Good drive, switches to the left. Some hard contact, and that will go against Quincy McKnight.
Prentice Nixon is going to give you a lot of effort on both ends of the floor. You see him off the bounce, but defensively, he's everywhere for the loose ball.
So Nixon, transfer from Colorado State, sat out last year in his transfer year.
Quietly, Lowell Quincy McKnight is back in the game after taking a crash to the floor. No one's tougher than he is.
Big 12 now on ESPN Plus is a must-have for Big 12 hoop fans. It's the exclusive home. More than 40 men's basketball games with the Iowa State Cyclones featured 4 times. Sign up today at ESPNplus.com/Big 12. Nixon with the split at the line. And we got a one-point game here, Coach.
Well, Seton Hall's got to get a little bit more movement as well. Get the ball changing sides of the floor. Right now, they're doing a pretty good job on Miles Powell.
Pirates have missed 7 straight. Miscommunication there. McKnight inside to Samuel. Samuel wasn't ready for it. Grill with the drive. Powell with the rebound.
Pretty good drive by Grill. He just didn't take his time in the lane. I think he had his head down. He didn't know where he was.
Are you okay with the looks that you've seen for both teams?
Well, yes and no. On occasion, they've moved the ball a lot. Too much one-on-one on both ends. It's okay if this guy goes one-on-one. He has the green light. But everyone else, they've got to move the ball a little bit. And even if they move the ball a little bit more from side to side, that will allow Miles Powell to catch the ball on the move against a defense that's trying to move from side to side as well.
So Nixon picks up the foul. That's on the floor.
Now Seton Hall really misses Mamukelashvili. Just his ability just to kind of be that point forward at the top and be another facilitator and a threat from the perimeter.
Seton Hall, the 1-point lead here in Ames. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Heineken. Enjoy Heineken responsibly.
Hey, Timmy, how good is the Big East this year? We think about Seton Hall, Marquette, Villanova. How about the depth with Butler, Xavier, DePaul, even though they lost tonight? It's like old school Big East.
Oh, yes, Seth. Like when you and I used to coach in the league, and this game reminds us of that. You know, we fashioned ourselves to be good offensive coaches, but instead we said, no, we're tough defenders.
And there is Powell breaking through. Powell now the first player with more than 2 field goals in this game. It was only him and Condon had more than 1 shot. There's still more turnovers than field goals made. Halliburton for 3. Got it.
Well, there we go. A little offense on both ends, the 2 stars. And Seth made a great point, though, about the Big East. Butler, 9-0. Great win over Florida over the weekend. They have to go to Baylor this week. They're not afraid, that's for sure. They played a tough schedule. But, yes, the Big East is going to be brutal this year.
We're seeing the preseason pick to win the conference here tonight in Seton Hall. Do you think that is a valid preseason selection? Are they the favorite?
There's no doubt about it, and I think Iowa State's going to be near the top of the Big 12 once they get their offensive figured out. And this guy much improved doing this. Halliburton a year ago was just a spot shooter. Now he's pretty consistent from the outside.
Talking with Coach Prohm, that's what he said the biggest growth has been with Halliburton in the offseason. It's been scoring, and especially his aggressiveness.
Xavier's very good. I think Villanova's going to get better and better. They've got a young basketball team. But this team is gritty. They're old, and they've got a star.
Much deeper than they've been in years past, and that will be on display tonight after losing their second leading scorer, Kelishvili. Coach Willard saying before the game, really there were 7 deep last year, more like 10 deep this year, because they have that many guys that have proven they deserve a shot to play. As Roden soars for that rebound, good ball movement from Powell to Gill, and the big fella with the finish inside.
A good rim run by Gill that time, and just really established himself right at the rim, and just too hard to defend when he gets that close.
Jackson hits the brakes, cannot convert, but Condit can.
Good job by Condit, and Gill got caught flat-footed there. He didn't box out, he didn't drive him off the position, and then on the shot just stood there and didn't put his hand up.
Huge jump in his production from freshman to sophomore year, adding about 8 points per game to his scoring average.
Interesting, Seton Hall sending about 1 player to the offensive glass, really concerned about transition.
Condit will go to the line. Try to give the Cyclones the lead.
Well, Iowa State out of that last timeout. Steve Prohm is doing a nice job now. They're doing 5 out, and they're having a little ball screen at the top. They're letting Halliburton run his stuff at the top, and then they're running that pick and roll to Condit, and Gill is having trouble covering him from the top of the key all the way to the rim.
And that is big because it's foul number 2 on Miles Powell. As Condit hits the first. Tuesday, we'll have the 25th annual Jimmy V Classic from Madison Square Garden. Top-ranked Louisville taking on Texas Tech. Then it's Indiana and UConn. Both games on ESPN app. We'll see how long Louisville can stay at number 1.
Talk about the Big East. Seth was talking about it. And we'll add another power next year in the Big East in UConn, as Dan Hurley's got a much improved team this year from a year ago.
Cyclones' first lead since it was 2-1. Roden gets Halliburton up, and the finish, tough finish there for the sophomore with high upside. Kevin Willard saying that he could be possibly the 2nd best player on this team by the end of the season.
Well, he is a guy that is smooth. You saw that body control after the explosive bounce from the top.
Condit the flush! This is my house, he says.
Well, Kevin Willis really got to try to clean that up at halftime, because Iowa State continues to go to that 5-out pick-and-roll game, and Gill cannot guard Condit. He can't move his feet from the top all the way to the box.
McKnight nearly gets the rebuttal. Halliburton looking for somebody, has to fire up his shot, gets his own miss, and the putback, and he's flexing.
That's what great players do, Lowell. They stay with the play, and Halliburton's playing with a lot of confidence right now off the bounce, and Seton Hall is a little bit reeling going into the half. They've got to get organized on this possession.
Cale with the drive, draws a whistle, count it for Miles Cale.
That's why you like Seton Hall. You've got McKnight, you've got Cale, you've got Roden. You got a lot of guys that if you don't pay attention to them, they will make you pay. They'll put their head down with toughness and make a play at the rim.
And doing this with Powell on the bench, Kelishvili out for the game.
There's just the late help on the perimeter. That's just way too easy. Got to step up on that second bounce, but he got all the way to the rim, got a great angle.
Tied up at 26. Bolt lost it. Nixon got it back. Mid-range J is good for Prentice Nixon.
Good job by Rasir Bolt. Just took his time. I thought he was going to force the issue with that right hand, but found his backcourt mate Nixon, and Nixon under control with that mid-range game.
Seton Hall can take the final shot in the half if they want it. Found some offense here in the final handful of minutes. 3 on the clock. Kale bombs away. Air ball. And for the second time in 10 days, Iowa State will go to the half with the lead over Seton Hall.
But a much better field defensively than they had in the Bahamas. They did a great job in the half court. They did a great job on the box, and they started to clean up their half court offense in the last 6-7 minutes of this half.
The Condit dunk was one of the highlights as he leads all scorers with 10 against one of the top shot blockers in America. At the half, Iowa State 28, Seton Hall 26. John Brinkley in the studio next. Low-scoring first half of the second matchup in 10 days between Iowa State and Seton Hall. Cyclones going into the second half with a 2-point lead. Logan Lindo here with Tim Welsh. Biggest storyline out of the first half, Sandro Mamukelashvili going down with an apparent wrist injury. He will not return in this game, so that's something that Seton Hall certainly will be paying attention to. The other storylines, though, what stood out the way the first half went down?
Well, I really think it's kind of like an NBA playoff series where you play one team and then 3 days later you play again, and both teams make adjustments.
Yeah.
And that's what both teams have done since the Bahamas, and they've tightened up the defense on the Stars. And Miles Powell really has had to work for everything because Iowa State, they've sent 1 and 2 defenders at him. They're switching on everything, all ball screens. He's got loose a couple times, but Seton Hall's got to move the ball from side to side a little better to give him more opportunity. And Tyrese Halliburton, in the last 8 minutes of the half, they went to their 5-out pick-and-roll game, and he really flourished. And if you go underneath the screen against him now, a new thing this year, he can step back and knock it down.
Lowest scoring first half of the season for both Iowa State and Seton Hall. Bolton needs to get it going, just 1 of 5 in the first half. The bounce back to Halliburton, no. As neither team shot well to start the game. Iowa State just 2 for the first 19. And went 9 of 16 after that. Seton Hall started 6 of 25. Responded 4 of 8 to finish out the first half.
Well, Mamukelashvili, they run a lot of things through him, and you could see his absence caused their offense really to be stagnant. 4 assists, 11 turnovers in the first half for Seton Hall.
And that shot forced by Seton Hall. Also of note, Miles Powell. 2 fouls in the first half, 8 points. The guy averaging 23 points per game this season, dropped 24 in his first matchup against the Pirates. As this is out to Nixon. Too much. Jacobson, the wraparound pass in the finish by Solomon Young, who was very quiet in the first half.
Well, Jacobson doing his work on the offensive glass tonight, the dirty work. He's playing the 4 now with Young out there on the floor, and Young opportunistic at the rim.
Biggest lead for the Cyclones. Powell to Kale. Good drive. Better defense by Young, who also gets the rebound.
Kale afforded that extra step in the lane.
Here's Bolton. Looked off his defender with the shot. Jacobson with the follow.
Jacobson proving his worth tonight. Had a poor game against Seton Hall in the Bahamas, and Kevin Willard doesn't like it early. He's upset.
Yeah, because Hilton Coliseum is feeling it. Cyclones coming to life. Jacobson with 5 points. A 32-26 lead for the Clones. Our Week 14 Monday Night Football matchup is a must-win for the Eagles as they take on the Giants in Philly at Eastern, 5 Pacific on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and the ESPN app. Our coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown at 6. Eli Manning get the start at quarterback for the Giants. And Coach, I know it was a tough day for you with your Patriots going down against the Chiefs.
Well, I will say this, that these officials have missed some calls tonight.
They got robbed.
But they could never be as bad as they were in the Patriots-Chiefs game. But let's get back to this game.
Yeah, how about Romaro Gill? Remember, late in the first half, he got the brunt of the dunk from George Condon. The big fellas have had an impact on this game.
That's a good timeout by Kevin Willard, though, understanding that this crowd can really get going. But again,
wow,
the pick-and-roll game in the middle of the floor.
Halliburton somehow finds Solomon Young. And Halliburton now with 3 assists, although that number should be higher. But with the poor shooting start, not much to show from it. Bolton with the strip. 6-point lead for the Cyclones. Halliburton, nice drive, and the lead for Young, high and over Gill.
Whoa, what a delivery by Halliburton. Just kind of took his time, had a little bit of an angle, not a lot. McKnight did a pretty good job, but once the help came, he felt it, and the bounce pass right at the rim for Young.
Roden, step back three. No good. Young with the rebound.
No, that's not the offense that Seton Hall needs to run. They need to move the ball, make sure Powell touches it on every possession, or at least gets a look.
Tough turnover there as Jacobson was standing on the line when he got that pass.
This is why Tyrese Halliburton is one of the best in America. Just takes his time. His head is constantly up, puts the ball right where you can just catch it and finish it so easily. And Young does a good job, though, of stepping in and pushing it right over the top of the big fella.
4 assists, 1 turnover for Halliburton. Nice move by Powell. And this is where he comes to life as Gill gets the putback. Powell is the second half stud for the Seton Hall team.
Well, Solomon Young's rebounding numbers are not good for a big guy. He doesn't get rebounds out of his area, but that time did not try to drive Gill at all off the spot on the boards.
Powell with the steal, 2-on-1. Kale with the finish, and it's a 4-point game.
That's why Miles Powell is a great one, because he can be quiet for the longest period of time, but if you relax at all on either end of the floor against him, he'll make you pay.
74 points over his last 3 games, a record in the battle for Atlantis. Young, 4th shot, missed it all.
Well, they should give him the ball there. He didn't work hard enough to get good, solid, low post position.
Here's Kell, the kick out to Roden. Beats Jacobson off the dribble and the throwdown.
That's why people in the Seton Hall program will tell you that Jared Roden is a keeper for the long haul. Toughness on the baseline.
It looked like Iowa State was going to stretch this out, maybe run away, get the home crowd behind them. But just like that, Seton Hall quietly coming back within 2.
Well, Seton Hall's cut the lead back to 2, but Iowa State came out of the locker room after the half with a lot of aggressive play right around the rim. And it's kind of the way they ended the first half. They really attacked the rim. They didn't settle for the threes, and they got up on the offensive glass. And they need to continue to do that. Run plays through Halliburton, let him create for others in the paint.
Almost as if they said, well, we're not hitting the outside shot, so we'll stop taking them and work it to the paint. As all 16 points this half have been scored inside the paint. 8 by each team. Halliburton, another nice find to Young, and Halliburton with the finish. The versatility on display for Tyrese Halliburton.
Probably not a good idea to give Young the ball on the move like that in the middle of the lane, but again, Halliburton, that extra special effort at the rim.
Young was finishing some of those plays in the first matchup against the Pirates, despite that size mismatch, as Roden with the walk. Gill and Obiagu. The Pirates, one of the biggest front courts in America.
Sometimes the guys that are thin and wiry are the toughest to block out. They just find a little avenue to the rim.
But doesn't play like a thin guy. He is tough.
Tough, confident. It makes everyone better. His head is always up.
Projected lottery pick. Conned it. There was contact there as Gill got a piece.
Well, one thing we've learned about Steve Prohm over his time here at Iowa State, he's going to go back to the well until you figure out a way to stop a play. And now he's got Condit back in the game, who's much better, more size, a little more versatility as far as finishing with both hands at the rim in traffic.
This is the front end. Condit with 10 points, the emphatic dunk over Gill. 4 shy of his career high that was set earlier this year. And a loss against Oregon State. Cyclones 5-3 on the year. Conley gets the split. He's now up to 11. Reynolds from the Big 12 logo gets it. 3-point game.
Good job changing sides of the floor. They spaced the floor. Put Powell deceptively in the opposite corner, but Seton Hall's got to continue to get 3 or 4 passes into their half-court offense before they look to attack.
Halliburton, the attack, loses the dribble, and a good battle underneath.
I like the respect both of these teams have for each other. Talking to the players today, they were looking forward to this back-to-back type challenge from the Bahamas to tonight. And Seton Hall playing in this environment, I think it's going to be great for them down the road as they prepare for the Big East.
So jump ball, possession to Seton Hall. Powell again in the corner as Reynolds is running the offense. Tried to slip it through to Gill. Not a wise decision. And Halliburton is bumped midair by Anthony Nelson.
Well, Kevin Willard just shakes his head because even if Gill comes up with that ball, what is he going to do with it? He's got his back to the basket on the move, about 14 feet away. You've got to wait till he positions himself right at the rim, then deliver it to him so he can make a play.
Good defense there by Roden. Stuffing Trey Jackson.
Leaving the floor, never a good idea with nowhere to go.
Powell, spin move, and draws the foul. Well, Prentice Nixon.
A little bit of a superstar call on that one because Powell had nowhere to go, but that's what great players do. They find a way to sell it, absorb the contact when they really have nowhere to go, and not sure about that one.
So second foul on Nixon, another look.
It definitely was not a flop. It's just been a play on, but Powell sold it.
And eliminating those flops, a point of emphasis in the NCAA this season. Powell from way deep. Still has not hit a bucket since the 4:06 mark in the first half. And another chance for the Pirates. Gill rolling, Powell blocked by Condon.
Well, what Seton Hall likes to do is they like to get Sandro Mamukalashvili in a pick-and-roll game at the top with Miles Powell, where you have to be honest with the big fella because he'll pick and pop, and that will allow Powell a lot more driving lanes. So they're trying to figure out how to get their offense going with Powell at the top. And here they're using Gill, but he's not the threat.
Gill gets it back and is called for a travel.
See, that's where it's a problem for Seton Hall trying to run their typical offense, because Gill, as you can see, on the move, not as fluid at the rim.
15 turnovers for the Pirates tonight. Something that Prohm wanted to see the defense on display. Thought that this Iowa State team would be further along defensively than offensively, and has not been the case until really tonight.
They've done a good job, especially on the glass, and good job on Powell as well. And Gill has played a very good game. I think they could still go into him, but let him post up and see if he can go right at Condit, right at the rim.
Bolton the drive. He finds Halliburton. Almost lost the handle. Here's Bolton for three. Got it. Rasir Bolton.
Well, that's what happens when you make the extra pass. Halliburton found Nixon in the corner, but Nixon knew that Bolton, his backcourt mate, was a little bit more open on the wing.
It was a 1-7 start for Bolton until that one. Nelson with the drive. And it's going to stay with the Pirates.
Well, ball movement so important to Iowa State's offense, because Halliburton gets set in the middle of the floor. He has his eyes up, he understands, and then Again, pass to the corner, then the extra pass for the open shot.
Not an easy pass to make. The support, Zion Griffin on the bench, liking what they've seen after a horrific offensive start for the Cyclones, starting to really pick it up here. 8 on the shot clock. Reynolds the drive and the finish. The former walk-on. Unreal how this young man, Javon Reynolds, did not have a real offer before coming to Seton Hall as a walk-on.
You can see the grit, though. He fits right in with the style of play. He's going to defend you and attack the rim and finish with confidence.
May not be pretty like this. Bolton, the next county over. Got to be hotter than that for a heat check, right? Nelson drawing contact in the finish. And Seton Hall refuses to go away for cancer research. Anthony Nelson at the line trying to convert the three-point play. And he does make it a one-point game.
Stuart Scott, ironically, gave a lot of his time before he was diagnosed with cancer to the V Foundation. He used to host the V golf tournament, Kerry, and just a tremendous person. The V Foundation is just a great organization. I got a chance to visit their office last spring, and a great group of people, just tireless in their efforts to raise money.
Obiagu picks up foul number 2.
Well, Kevin Willard's getting some good energy off the bench. Reynolds and Nelson have done a nice job in the last few minutes. Starting guards a little bit of a blow, but also giving them a good lift offensively, attacking the rim.
Powell has been quiet. Abukelishvili out with the wrist injury. Bolton right past Obiagu. And the big guy was thinking rejection there, didn't get it.
He didn't get over quick enough, but Bolton's hard to defend when he gets that good angle. You know what he's going to do. He's going to put his head down with the right hand and get all the way to the rim.
Kevin Willard said that Bolton's really the guy that takes the Cyclones to the next level. You know all about Halliburton, and getting him has been a big boost. Getting immediate eligibility in his transfer from Penn State.
Good job by Obiagu, just presenting himself as a huge target right at the rim, and that's what the bigs of Seton Hall, he and Gill, have to do. Got a big size advantage, but they can't catch the ball 10, 12 feet from the basket and think they're going to make a move. They've got to post up right in front of the rim, get big, and turn and make a move.
Obiagu got the start tonight for the 3rd time in his career with Romaro Gill coming off the bench, and Gill has been fantastic. One of the better games offensively of his career. Kevin Willard, in his 10th season at Seton Hall, has taken the Pirates to the tournament in 4 straight years. Preseason pick to win the Big East and dethrone Villanova. They came up short in the Big East championship last season. Grill is fouled on the three-point attempt, and he will go to the line for a trifecta.
Oh, that's the first time they didn't really get back and get their defense set, and this is what Grill does. He runs right to the corner. It looked like McKnight was confused of who he was supposed to guard. I think he ran to Halliburton, and nobody had Grill.
The freshman misses the first. Now 2 of 4 from the free throw line on the season. It's been a rough evening for Grill. Picking up quick fouls. It's the 2nd. Tuesday we'll have the 25th annual Jimmy V Classic from Madison Square Garden. Great matchups with Tech and top-ranked Louisville. And it's Indiana and UConn. Both games on ESPN and the ESPN app.
Texas Tech's lost 3 in a row, but they faced 2 of them have been in overtime. And in the last possession, we'll see if Elias Ramsey plays. He's day-to-day with a hamstring, but he is a good-looking freshman for Chris Beard.
Just give Coach Beard some time, right?
There's no doubt about it. You know they're going to defend, that's for sure. Now Iowa State's got to get down and dirty. Not relax on Miles Powell. This is usually the time he gets going.
Powell for three. Too strong, and rode in with the rebound. He's seen enough of Nixon. In 2 matchups, he's been hounding him. Powell got mixed up in air, and it goes off Jacobson. So it'll stay with the Pirates.
It's a little frustration from Miles Powell that he can't get loose, but he's going to get some help from his teammates. He's trying to go one-on-one against a terrific defender, and Nixon just does a great job of cutting the angle off.
8 on the shot clock. Nelson into the paint, and it looked like Jacobson got a piece of that. And 3 on the shot clock here for Seton Hall.
Right now, Seton Hall too much one-on-one. One guy with the ball, 4 guys standing.
Powell, as Nixon falls down, and Powell makes him pay.
Again, just when you think you've got him locked up, he'll do that. That time, fortunate Nixon ran into a screen. He's saying it was an illegal screen, but good call on the out-of-bounds play here. Ooh, runs into a big, long arm of Abiago.
Was it the push, though, from Powell to initiate that separation? It was not called.
Sneaky push. In traffic, you can sometimes get away with that.
Here's Condit. Nice move. Pirates basketball.
Nice move, but you never like to see your big guy take 3 dribbles to get to where he has to go to, because the defense will shrink and collapse, and that time the shot blocker did a great job just moving his feet, Abiago, and presenting himself big on the contest.
In for a dandy here in the final 10. Hilton Coliseum in Ames, Iowa. Cyclones looking for a breakthrough win. They've been close. And Condit goes down. He's fouled. Iowa State will have the basketball.
That time, Powell made a pretty good move. He got it a little bit of an angle past Nixon, but Bolton came in with that little help and recover, almost like the shell drill from the old days, and just stuck a hand in there. Powell's got to be able to give that ball up here. Watch Bolton on the help here. Just sticks his hand in there, causes a turnover.
Powell picks up foul number 3. Bolton gets the corner in contact as he goes down hard. As Obiago was coming over, contest that shot.
And again, strong with the right, loves the window, soft touch, threw his body right at Obiago.
And foul number 3, the sophomore from Nigeria. And it's been a evening with the free throw shooting for the Cyclones. Now 4 misses at the line. Regier Bolton, transfer from Penn State. Became eligible to play immediately in September as he misses both. And it stays as a 1-point Cyclones lead.
83% coming in, and that's surprising.
Reynolds for 3. Pirates keep it alive as Young swatted it, but it ended up in the hands of the Pirates, and Powell with the finish. He's now up to 13. This is prototypical Miles Powell time. Nelson, hard contact on Halliburton. As point guard hits the deck.
Iowa State, though, is a little bit more intense. That last loose ball on the missed shot, Seton Hall attacked it. Iowa State watched. Here after the score, Seton Hall goes into a little 3/4 court press, a little loose with the ball. Very fortunate.
So Reynolds and Nelson to the bench for Seton Hall. 1-1 for Halliburton. .72% all the year. He gets them both. The Cyclones take the 1-point lead.
Now Miles Powell's getting a little hungry, and in the last couple possessions, you can see he's got that look in his eye that he wants the ball to finish this game off.
For 3. Got it. Miles Powell with a nod to his fellas on the bench.
That's the look.
Saying, I got this.
I'm one of the best in the country. I'm ready to go on the road and find a way to win this game.
Preseason Big East Player of the Year. Halliburton, a nice cut. And a foul on Obiagu. What a step to get to the hoop there with Tyrese Halliburton.
Both coaches going to their moneymakers here down the stretch. And the floor is space, and just a quick change of direction on the pick and roll play. They don't play it properly, and the help comes late.
Number 4 on Obiagu. Tough miss for Halliburton. This is when the stars shine brightest. In these moments, Halliburton and Powell figured to say their names a lot down the stretch. Halliburton with the split. Powell has scored the last 8 for Seton Hall. He was electric in the second half on Black Friday in the win against the Cyclones. Gives it up to McKnight, no one there. McKnight wide left. Nixon with the strong rebound.
That was a good idea, though, by Powell, giving the ball up. The defense shifted on that little down screen, and Ohio State's got to make sure they deny and help a little bit more on those picks on Powell.
Nixon, no good. Pirates will try to add to the 1-point lead. Under 8 left to go. Powell the pull-up, leaves it short. Young the one-hand rebound. No one's there for Jacobson. Couple of moves. Gill with the rejection. Young the board. Young the putback.
Both bigs stayed with it down low. Gill with a great shot block. The tremendous timing, but had no help. Seton Hall was out on the perimeter trying to get out of the break. And Young with the second effort.
Cyclones with the lead by 1. "11 straight non-conference wins in this building. Rodin, distance, cannot drop it.
Here's where Iowa State's got to get organized, make sure they don't shoot that quick 3. And on the attack, very fortunate.
Cyclones, 51-50 over Seton Hall. Prohm looking for a breakthrough win with this new look Cyclones team.
Iowa State did a good job early slowing down Miles Powell, but what great players do, they find a way to stay at it, whether it's driving to the rim, making shots from the outside, putting your head down and just creating for yourself and for others. And Miles Powell never got discouraged. He just stayed with it, and that's why Seton Hall is where they are right now.
Now has scored 8 straight for Seton Hall. He's also got 8 rebounds, 1 shy of his career high. He's made 3 of his last 4 from the field. Halliburton to inbound. Bolton gets free, and Bolton puts it down. He's also picked it up in the second half.
Really good little simple screen-to-screener play, and Seton Hall got caught turning their head, didn't communicate or handle that very well at all.
Nelson to Rodin. Rodin too strong. Young with the rebound.
A bit of a forced look by Rodin. He's an aggressive player, but he needs to take shots under control.
Young. That's going to be offensive.
Exactly. Miles Powell just took his body and gave it up there. And again, giving the big the ball on the move in the middle of the floor. You've got to let him get his feet established before you give your 5-man the ball on the run. Look at Young. He's on the run. He's not a guard. He's your center. Let him get his feet set, post, and then make a move.
Powell, step back, tries to draw contact on Nixon. Doesn't hit the shot or get the call. He went up and in to Prentice Nixon.
A good no call by Jeff Anderson.
Halliburton finds himself free, cannot knock it down. Roden with the rebound. And a three-point lead for the Cyclones.
Gotta make sure this guy gets the ball. There's an illegal screen.
Wow, big contact on Nixon. And Roden picks up his second foul.
Well, Roden, right idea, just a little bit late on the execution. Just slid as Nixon was sliding, trying to go around the screen. He was established, but then he slid over and lowered the shoulder. Good call.
Powell hit this shot, which would have tied the game. So 17 turnovers tonight for Seton Hall. Now 4 above their season average. How much of that is sloppy offense or good defense for the Cyclones?
It's pretty solid defense. They've got a nice game plan. That guy's got a lot of things under control. He's fun to watch.
Wow.
He can beat you in a lot of ways.
The touch from Halliburton. He does it all.
Seton Hall's got to make sure they run something through Miles Powell on this possession.
7-0 run for the Cyclones. Nelson draws the foul.
Well, Halliburton, his new improved shooting touch, but here he gets you off balance, a little spin around from the top and fade away.
What makes him so difficult to guard?
Well, because he's got the ball on a string, first of all. He's got those long arms at 6'5", but he plays bigger than that, and he handles the ball like a true point guard with vision beyond belief, because he's always got his head up. He knows where everybody is on the floor, and then this year, he's got that added to his game, that improved outside shooting.
And you see that game translating to the NBA?
Oh, absolutely, and that's why a lot of scouts are they snuck in tonight. They're sitting up in the rafters, but I saw the Magic here, I saw the Pistons here. Of course, they're here to see Miles Powell and company, but also...
But they could not make that trip to the Bahamas. That was not in the NBA budget. Here are names tonight. Second matchup in 10 days. Something you really do not see. First time since the 1960s that Seton Hall has played a non-conference opponent back-to-back games. Late in the shot clock, Bolton lost it. Offensive foul. An emphatic offensive foul call.
Jeff Anderson was right there. I didn't really see it, but he's calling a lowering of the shoulder, so there's legal guarding position here.
What do you think?
I think it's a play on. Basically, the offensive player was a little out of control, but the defender was backing up. There's really nothing there.
Nelson looking for somebody. Reynolds, the drive off balance. And Cyclones basketball. Here comes Bolton. Trying to get free, and there's a whistle against Reynolds.
James Breeding was trailing the play, and Reynolds got caught up, but that was after Bolton kind of stiff-armed him to clear a little path on the wing. Watch the arm extend here by Bolton. He holds off. He creates the first foul, and then both players out of control.
Bolton, best on the team for Iowa State, getting to the free throw line.
Sometimes when the offenses are both disjointed, the officiating becomes disjointed because the play is. A lot of bodies flying at each other, and both teams trying to play fast, but not with much efficiency.
Both teams averaging 82 points per game this season. And here we are in a low-scoring affair. A pivotal early season matchup probably means more at this point in time for the Cyclones and Seton Hall. Up and under Miles Powell. He can also do it all. Stars are taking over here, Coach.
Nice set called from the bench, and they find a lot of different ways to free up Miles Powell, that time on the backdoor cut.
7 of 19, it's high volume. But Miles Powell is a game changer. Young, here's another one of those plays. His Powell puts his body on the line, and he's hurt. Miles Powell is down, but he's getting up. Maybe had the wind knocked out of him. Body on the line for the Seton Hall star. Presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Phillips 66, proud sponsor of Big 12 basketball. .343 left. Iowa State with a 4-point lead over Seton Hall, but the Pirates get the ball back after this call of a charge against Iowa State.
Well, this is a good adjustment by Seton Hall in the second half. Iowa State went to this play ad nauseum in the first half. George Conda had 10 points off this little pick and roll where the floor was opened up. So now what Seton Hall has done, they brought the weak side defender from the opposite corner all the way over to be in help position. And that's where Solomon Young, he can't do anything with that ball if there's a defender there. He's not versatile enough. He's not good enough with the ball, putting it on the floor with his feet. But that's the guy who made the play right there. He took it right in the chest.
The preseason All-American, preseason Big East Player of the Year is starting to take over as Powell has scored 10 of the last 11 of the Seton Hall Pirates. Powell thought about it. Nixon trying to do everything he can to stay in front of him. Rode it. Halliburton trying to take it away. McKnight for three. Still scoreless. That night for Quincy McKnight.
That's what I call, and anyone that knows the game, a great defensive set. Iowa State, everybody was in a stance communicating and helping.
Halliburton almost lost the handle. No good. Comes crashing in. Condit is fouled.
And again, watch the defense. Prentice Nixon has been in a stance all night long. He just refuses to give up the angle. Then Halliburton almost causes the jump ball in the corner. And then great contest. Look at the block out and then the hustle for the deep loose ball.
Now some confusion over who the foul was on. Initially, he charged it to Roden. And now it goes to Romaro Gill. Big free throws here for Condit. He hits the first. 12 points. Too shy of his career high. Sports Center tonight after College Football Playoff Championship Drive with John Anderson and Kenny Mayne. Reactions and analysis to the semifinal matchups. Recap of the NFL as well, as Condit hits both.
Condit's played great tonight. He really has off the bench. He's given him a huge lift, going toe-to-toe with the bigs of Seton Hall.
And Gill all over Halliburton. And Halliburton is barking. He's fired up.
Mamukelashvili in the locker room with the injury really has hurt Seton Hall as far as playing that 5 spot. They went with him late in the game in the Bahamas, and this is where he is more fluid on the perimeter. They'll do the pick and pop, and their Gill's just trying to clear space, and this crafty Halliburton took it right in the chest.
Now, second look, Halliburton did a pretty good job selling that contact as well. But Seton Hall not at full strength, as you mentioned. Sandro Mamukelashvili went down with an apparent wrist injury in the first half early for playing under 5 minutes. And will not return to this game. Halliburton, yes! He's dialing long distance.
Great patience by Iowa State not to take the first shot. They waited, and now the superstar from the home team made Seton Hall pay.
This is what Hilton Magic is all about. Taking down the big dogs. Seton Hall comes in ranked number 16. Halliburton don't care.
Well, Seton Hall tried to extend the defense. They got kind of a little bit of three-quarter press. They never got the trap established on the sideline. And then Halliburton as the trailer, they did not quickly match up and left him wide open at the top.
He's showing those emotions for all to see. 17 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, at least 5 assists in every game this season. And really, at various times for the Cyclones this year, he's led in a game in pretty much every category you can imagine, except turnovers.
I got to tell you what, though, college basketball is pretty special to have two guys like this out on the floor. You pay any night of the year to watch these two guys play, Tyrese Halliburton, Myles Powell. They are terrific. They play the game the right way. They play with a smile on their face, with a lot of intensity, and they just want to win.
And the second time in 10 days, Seton Hall won the first matchup, 84-76. Cyclones looking for revenge. McKnight, finally the breakthrough, as Quincy McKnight hits for the first time. And there is Mamu Kelishvili turning into the top cheerleader for the Pirates after hurting his wrist. Samuel looking for the rebound after the Halliburton miss.
It's a little quick by Iowa State, giving Seton Hall a little opportunity to quickly attack.
Maybe too quick for McKnight. It's a big miss.
Steve Prohm slowing things down. They're going to run their pick and roll game again. Condit and Halliburton in the middle of the floor. Everybody else out on the three-point line.
Prohm was so adamant on the significance of this game and what a win would mean for his program. Nixon for 3, and he's fouled. Second time Seton Hall has fouled on a three-point attempt tonight.
Now, that was a good play call from the bench, and had Halliburton as a decoy on the right wing. They never went through him, but Nixon and Bolton are starting to really come together as a pair, and I don't see anything there.
Maybe a brush, and it's costly as it sends Nixon to the line for 3. Also is the 4th foul on Myles Powell. It's the first 2.
Kevin Miller's going to look at that call and say, goodness, that's a little too close to make that call this late in the game.
1:27 left. And a whistle as McKnight was trying to take on the entire Iowa State defense. And Bolton picks up foul number 3.
We're still not happy about that call on Powell down on the other end. He's barking over there at Jeff Anderson. Jeff's like, I didn't make the call.
And perhaps McKnight going down hard under the opposite basket also in the first half of this game has affected him tonight, as he has not looked like his typical self. The spark plugs, junkyard dogs for the Seton Hall team. But there's a steal. Powell for 3. Too strong. Wow, that could have changed a lot. Nixon trying to run away from everybody. Condit, the flush! And a career high for George Condit. On the other end, Nixon goes down hard, but Nixon is whistled with the foul, and it will send Powell to the line for 2.
Nixon just has been tremendous defensively, just working on every possession, and with Powell on the attack, found an angle and drove him right into the basket. He is a tough kid. Prentice Nixon, he is a great addition. As these guards learn how to play together and start to shoot the ball a little bit better down the road, Iowa State definitely will be in the top part of the Big 12.
19 points for Powell, below his season average. 7 of 20 from the field. How much credit do you give Nixon for that performance?
Absolutely, and also team defense as well. Iowa State's made some adjustments. They gave a lot of help on his drives. They've done a good job with ball pressure at the top as well, and also not having Sandro Mamukelashvili out there has been a big factor as well.
So going to the monitors here to check out the out-of-bounds play to see who will have possession of this basketball. 58.6 left. Cyclones up 67-59.
Originally, Brent Hampton called it Iowa State ball, and now if Iowa State does get the ball back here, and if there's enough there to make a reversal on that, I don't think so. But
Does that go off Kale?
looks like
And
it
initially,
looks
that's
like
why
it
it's
went off
Iowa
Miles
State
Kale.
basketball. So I guess they're trying to see if it goes off Condon at the very last moment, which would give it to Seton Hall.
Be tough to overturn that, though. I don't know if there's enough there, but more importantly for Iowa State, Seton Hall's on the attack here, full court pressure, and Iowa State's been a little bit too casual against this pressure, and Seton Hall can get back in this game real quickly with a couple steals because they have that ability with those guards at the top.
And the call will stand. Condon is fired up, and he should be. Condon has played the game of his career. We came in talking about star power, Powell, Halliburton, they've delivered. But there's always going to be the supporting role, and Condon, 15 points, a career high, 6 rebounds, and 4 blocks as well.
He's been tremendous in that pick and roll game, and Steve Prohm's put him in some good spots, and he's done a nice job establishing himself around the rim.
Prohm with 16 wins against the top 25 as the head coach of the Cyclones. That's a foul on the Pirates. That's going to go against Miles Kale. So 16 wins against the top 25. Only Johnny Orr and Fred Hoiberg with more in the history of Iowa State basketball. And this was a team that Prohm has even said, despite the 5-3 start, that it's ending up being a lot better than a lot of people thought they could be, including Prohm himself.
Well, they have a look of a good team. There's no doubt about it. And they're going to morph into a real good team as they get to know each other. You see tonight the adjustments they made from the Bahamas, especially defensively, toughness, matching Seton Hall's toughness on the glass and stopping that guy right there, Powell.
And that's going to be an offensive foul against Miles Powell. Nixon gets up all smiles because he has battled tonight. Prentice Nixon, the senior transfer from Colorado State, winning over the crowd here in Hilton tonight. Powell fouls out with 19 points.
Well, we all know about the highlights on SportsCenter, and usually they're not taking charges, but again, a little too casual.
What a
Iowa
play by
State.
McKnight. And a clock malfunction as Quincy McKnight, second time we've seen a steal, and this time he converts.
Iowa State's a little too tight for my liking on their press offense. They've got to space out a little bit now. Off the make, Halliburton has the opportunity to run the baseline. He's got to run the baseline, try to get a better passing angle. Seton Hall has pressure on the ball, and they're face guarding both Nixon and Bolton. So they've got to either try to send somebody along or get Jacobson to flash up. He could flash up right ball side and maybe then have a release point to either Bolton or Nixon in the middle of the floor to attack.
So they will keep clock as is. 50.9 left. Seton Hall with pressure that forces Halliburton to take the timeout.
Well, Iowa State's not really running anything. I mean, everyone's just kind of running to an open spot like you would in the summertime. They've got to get organized. They've got to send somebody deep, maybe set a screen or two.
And Iowa State is in position, close this out and get a win because the production of their sensational sophomore George Condon IV. What has he shown you tonight?
He's shown everything. First and foremost, he's been a guy that you can throw the ball to around the rim and make plays. Taking his time, going up and under over the bigs of Seton Hall. Not a lot of wasted motion. Running in transition as well. Defending terrifically, keeping the ball alive on the offensive glass, and really playing with a nice pace, but with force and intensity.
Yeah, the dunk over Gill. That was one of those moments that really energized his home crowd and got them going. Because it was a slow start offensively for both teams. Hilton had no reason to really be into the game early on. Goes to Bolton. Bolton loses it. Seton Hall basketball.
Jeff Anderson has a foul.
So turnover on one end, foul on the other. And that's against Roden.
Iowa State really fortunate here. I see called McKnight on the bump. I could see that definitely. Gave him a little hip check there to force the turnover, but Iowa State's got to clean up their press offense. Steve Prohm's got all 4 players other than Bolton over there in front of him, and he's trying to draw up a new press offense because what they're running is not working.
Cyclones have made 10 in a row from the charity strike.
I would have someone else take the ball out of bounds and get it to Halliburton. He's got that length just to throw it to him. He'll go up and get it.
9-point game. Check that, 10-point game. Now to 8 with 45 seconds left. Run out for Condit. Condit. And a whistle. And that goes against Tyrese Samuel.
Better job on that possession. Iowa State against the press. He just got it in quickly before Seton Hall could set.
Condit up to 16. That's one behind Halliburton for the team lead. Bolton with 15. No one currently on the court for Seton Hall in double digits, as Miles Powell has fouled out. And Sandro Mamukelashvili in a sweatshirt on the bench with his wrist wrap. Reynolds, the heave-in connection with 35.8 left. Pirates making this interesting. Bolton trying to break out. Hounded. Now Cyclones have numbers, but they will slow it down. And Kell fouls Nixon.
Seton Hall doing a really good job of getting right into their pressure, and they have not made it easy for Iowa State, but on that possession, Iowa State did a good job of coming, meeting the ball, moving the ball up the court, looking to pass to the open man.
Big picture for Kevin Willard now. Regardless of the outcome of this game, how significant is the injury to Mamukelashvili? We don't know the extent, but obviously enough to keep him out for most of this game.
It's huge, and obviously not a good look over there, but for their sake, you hope that it's just a minor issue, because there's no doubt he is the guy that helps make them go, other than Miles Powell.
Roden, no good on the three-point attempt. Jacobson with the rebound. And a foul, Samuel on Regier Bolton.
Well, it's a significant win for Steve Prohm. He's talking to him. He said, you know, we played well. We've played well in our losses. We're right there. But they are what they are. They're losses. We need to get one of those. Got Iowa coming up later in the week, so confidence is huge. All these close calls are no good if you don't come home with a win, because your team starts to look in the mirror and say, wait a minute, we're not that good. But tonight, they proved it in a lot of different ways, especially defensively, toughness. They matched Seton Hall's toughness in the paint and on the glass.
And how about another block for Condit, number 5 on the night. His night here at Hilton. If he hasn't already done it, he's won over this fan base. Huge win for Steve Prohm and the Iowa State Cyclones. Said this one will boost the confidence and get his team to buy in even more.
There's no doubt about it, and they did it in a way that he's been preaching. We need to get tougher. We need to rebound the ball and shoot it better, and they did, because they took better shots in the second half.
A career night for George Condit, leading Iowa State to the 76-66 win over Seton Hall. Hilton Magic alive and well here in Ames. For Tim Welsh, I'm Lo Galindo. Thank you for watching. So long for Ames. Cyclones with the win.